Let me tell you something about success. It isn't about waking up one day and becoming the best. Success isn't overnight. It's earned step by step, day by day. If you want to see a better version of yourself, focus on improving by just 1% every single day. That's it, 1%. Why? Because small efforts lead to massive results. Stop waiting for perfect conditions. So many people sit around saying, I'll start when I have more money or I'll begin when the time feels right. Here's the truth. The perfect moment doesn't exist. Life is messy, unpredictable, and full of challenges. But if you wait for perfection, you'll never start. Look around you and take inventory of what you already have. Maybe you have just your phone and internet access that's enough to learn new skills. Maybe all you have is 30 minutes of free time a day that's enough to begin working on your passion project. You don't need to have all the resources up front. Start with the small resources you have and let those small steps compound into bigger opportunities. The key is to stop making excuses. Excuses don't build dreams, they build regret. There's power in doing what you can with what you've got. When you take the first step, no matter how small, you set a ripple effect in motion. That single step becomes 2, then 3, and before you know it, you're on a path to something greater. Too often we overlook the tools already in our hands. You might think, I don't have what others have. But let me tell you, the people you admire didn't always start with everything either. They started from the ground up, using whatever was available. The secret isn't in waiting for the stars to align. It's in making the stars align through action. And let me tell you, action doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be taken. You don't have to know all the answers or have a complete plan. What matters is that you make a move. One small move. That's the kind of energy you need to bring every day. The energy that says, I'm going to make this work no matter what. Think about this. A seed doesn't wait for the rainiest day to sprout. It grows in whatever conditions it finds. Be like that seed. Plant yourself where you are with what you have and start growing. It might not look like much in the beginning, but over time you'll look back and realize how far you've come simply by starting where you were. When you start with what you have, you're not just building skills or gaining knowledge, you're building confidence. Every little action you take proves to yourself that you can do this. And confidence is the fuel that will keep you going. Big dreams are great, but they can feel overwhelming when you look at them all at once. It's like standing at the base of a mountain and staring up at the peak, wondering how you'll ever climb it. That's where small, achievable goals come in. They're the stepping stones that lead you to top without making you feel crushed by the weight of the journey. When you break a big goal into smaller parts, it becomes manageable. Instead of focusing on writing a whole book, focus on writing 1 page a day. Instead of thinking about losing 50 pounds, aim to lose just 1 pound this week. By setting these smaller goals, you give yourself clear, actionable steps to take, and each step becomes a win in itself. Achievable goals keep you motivated because they're realistic. It's easy to feel discouraged when you're aiming too high too fast. But when you accomplish something small, like drinking more water today or learning one new fact, it gives you a boost of confidence. That little win reminds you that progress is possible and keeps you moving forward. Let's be honest, life is already stressful enough. Why add unnecessary pressure by setting unrealistic expectations for yourself? When you focus on small, consistent improvements, you take the pressure off and allow yourself to enjoy the process. It's not about rushing to the finish line. It's about moving steadily toward it, one step at a time. Here's the beauty of small goals. They add up. Imagine improving just 1% every day. That might not seem like much at first, but over time, those tiny gains compound into massive results. It's like saving a little money every day. Eventually, you'll look at your account and realize you've built something substantial. The trick is to make your goals specific and measurable. Don't just say, I want to get better. Instead, say, I'm going to practice piano for 10 minutes today, or I'll read 2 pages of a book before bed. When your goals are clear, it's easier to stay focused and track your progress. Remember, every big success story starts with small steps. The journey to greatness isn't about giant leaps. It's about putting one foot in the other. Keep your eyes on the next step and trust that those steps will lead you to your dreams. Perfection is a trap that keeps so many people stuck. We've been conditioned to think that if we can't do something perfectly, we shouldn't do it at all. But let me ask you this, who's winning, the person who tries and fails or the person who never tries at all? The answer is simple, the one who tries. Consistency beats perfection every single time. When you focus on consistency, you permit yourself to be human. You're going to have days where things don't go as planned. Maybe you miss a workout, stumble on a project, or fall short of a goal. That's okay. What matters is showing up the next day and trying again. Success isn't about being flawless. It's about refusing to quit. Think about a dripping faucet. One drop of water might seem insignificant, but over time, those drops can fill a bucket. That's what consistency does. Every small effort you make adds up, even if it doesn't seem like much at the moment. The key is to keep the momentum going, no matter how small the action is. The problem with chasing perfection is that it creates fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of not measuring up. But when you let go of the need to be perfect, you free yourself to take risks and learn. Every mistake becomes an opportunity to grow, and every attempt becomes a step forward. Consistency is what separates the dreamers from the doers. Anyone can talk about their goals, but the ones who succeed are the ones who put in the work day after day, rain or shine, no excuses. It's not glamorous or flashy, it's showing up when no one's watching and doing the work anyway. Here's the thing, being consistent doesn't mean doing the same thing every day without fail. It means finding a rhythm that works for you. If you miss a day, don't beat yourself up. Just get back on track the next day. Progress isn't about being perfect 100% of the time. It's about being consistent enough to see results over the long term. If you focus on being consistent instead of perfect, you'll build discipline. Discipline is what keeps you moving when motivation fades. And let me tell you, motivation will fade. There will be days when you don't feel like it, but discipline will remind you why you started in the first place. Every single day holds lessons, but too often we rush through life without taking the time to reflect. When was the last time you sat down and thought about what yesterday taught you? If you don't take a moment to learn from your experiences, you're bound to repeat the same mistakes over and over again. Reflection is the key to growth. Mistakes aren't failures, they're teachers. Every time you stumble, there's a lesson hidden in the fall. Maybe it's teaching you patience, resilience, or the need to prepare better. Instead of beating yourself up over what went wrong, ask yourself, what can I do differently next time? That's how you turn setbacks into stepping stones. Even your successes have lessons. Don't just celebrate or win and move on. Think about what you did to achieve it. What worked? What could have been better? Success leaves clues, and if you pay attention, you can use those clues to create even bigger wins in the future. Reflection doesn't have to be complicated. At the end of each day, take 5 minutes to ask yourself 3 simple questions. What went well? What didn't go well? What did I learn? Write it down if you can. There's power in putting your thoughts on paper. It helps you process and internalize the lessons. The beauty of learning from yesterday is that it makes today and tomorrow better. You don't have to keep making the same mistakes because you're actively improving. Each day becomes an opportunity to build on what you've learned, making you wiser and more effective over time. Reflection also teaches you gratitude. When you look back on your day, you'll start to notice the small blessings you might have overlooked. Maybe it's a kind word from a friend, a task you completed, or even just the fact that you made it through a tough day. Gratitude shifts your perspective and keeps you focused on the positives. Remember, growth isn't about never failing, it's about failing forward. Every day you reflect, you're planting seeds for tomorrow's success. And the more you learn from yesterday, the better equipped you'll be to face whatever challenges come your way. Your habits shape your life. If you want to improve yourself by 1% every day, you need to take a hard look at the habits you're building. Are they pushing you closer to your goals or pulling you further away? Habits are like autopilot. They guide your actions without you even thinking about them. That's why building the right ones is so powerful. Positive habits don't have to be monumental. Start small. Wake up 10 minutes earlier. Drink a glass of water as soon as you get out of bed, or spend 5 minutes stretching. These little habits might seem insignificant, but over time, they'll compound into big results. The key is to start small and be consistent. Building a habit isn't about relying on willpower, it's about creating systems. If you want to exercise regularly, lay out your workout clothes the night before. If you want to read more, keep a book on your nightstand. Make it easy for yourself to follow through. The fewer barriers there are, the more likely you are to stick with it. Habits also require patience. You're not going to see results overnight, and that's okay. Think of it like planting a tree. At first, you won't notice much growth, but if you keep watering it, eventually it'll sprout and grow strong. The same goes for your habits. Keep nurturing them even when you don't see immediate results. One of the best ways to build a habit is to tie it to something you're already doing. For example, if you brush your teeth every morning, use that time to think of one thing you're grateful for. By linking a new habit to an existing one, you create a routine that's easy to remember and stick with. Positive habits aren't just about adding new things to your life, they're also about replacing negative ones. If you find yourself wasting hours scrolling on your phone, replace that time with something productive like reading or journaling. Every time you swap a bad habit for a good one, you're improving yourself bit by bit. Over time, these habits become part of who you are. You won't have to think about them, they'll become automatic. And when your habits align with your goals, success becomes inevitable. It's not about massive changes, it's about making small, intentional choices every single day. Life throws a lot of curveballs, and sometimes it feels like you're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. But let me tell you something, you don't have to control everything. You can't control everything, so stop wasting energy on what's outside your hands. Focus on what you control and let the rest go. You can't control the weather, but you can control how you prepare for it. You can't control how people treat you, but you can control how you respond to them. You can't control the outcome of every situation, but you can control the effort you put in. When you shift your mindset this way, you take your power back. Too often we get stuck worrying about things we can't change. That worry steals your peace, your energy, and your time. Instead of stressing over what might happen, ask yourself, what can I do right now? Even if it's a small action, it's better than sitting in fear or frustration. Action is the antidote to anxiety. When you focus on what you can control, you free yourself from the burden of unrealistic expectations. You stop trying to fix things that aren't yours to fix, and you start making progress in areas where you have influence. It's like clearing out the clutter in your mind. You make space for what truly matters. This mindset doesn't just make life easier, it makes you more effective. When you stop wasting energy on the uncontrollable, you can channel that energy into productive actions. You become sharper, more focused, and more resilient. Instead of being overwhelmed with what's happening around you, you become the master of your path. Control isn't about dominance, it's about discipline. It's about choosing where to direct your time and energy. Every moment you spend worrying about something you can't control is a moment lost. But every moment you spend working on what you can control is a step toward improvement. The truth is, that life will always be unpredictable. There will always be things that don't go your way. But when you learn to focus on what's within your control, you become unshakable. You might not be able to change the wind, but you can adjust your sails and keep moving forward. We live in a world that glorifies instant gratification. Everyone wants results now: fast food, fast money, fast success. But let me tell you something real. Anything worth having takes time. Patience isn't just a virtue, it's a skill, and it's one you need to master if you're serious about improving yourself. Think of growth like a seed. You plant it, water it, and make sure it gets sunlight, but you don't see anything right away. Does that mean it's not working? Not. Underneath the surface, roots are forming, setting the foundation for what's to come. That's how progress works. The results you want might not be visible yet, but they're happening. Patience doesn't mean sitting around doing nothing. It means staying committed to the process, even when you don't see immediate results. It's about trusting that your efforts will pay off, even if it takes longer than you expected. Patience keeps you moving when the finish line feels far away. One of the biggest mistakes people make is giving up too soon. They put in the work, but when they don't see results right away, they assume it's not working. That's like quitting the gym after 2 weeks because you haven't lost 20 pounds. Progress takes time, and quitting guarantees you'll never see it. Patience also teaches you resilience. When you stick with something despite the challenges, you become stronger. You learn how to handle setbacks without losing sight of your goals. Every delay becomes a lesson in perseverance, and every obstacle becomes a chance to grow. The truth is that patience is what separates the dreamers from the achievers. Anyone can start something, but it takes patience to see it through to the end. It's not about how fast you go, it's about staying on the path, no matter how long it takes. Remember, slow progress is still progress. Each small step you take brings you closer to your goal, even if it doesn't feel like it. Patience isn't about waiting. It's about believing that your hard work will pay off and staying committed to the journey. You are the company you keep. If you surround yourself with people who are negative, lazy, or stuck in their ways, guess what? That energy will rub off on you. But if you surround yourself with people who are driven, positive, and always looking to improve, you'll start to adopt that mindset too. Growth-minded people inspire you. They challenge you to think bigger, work harder, and push beyond your limits. When you're around them, you can't help but level up because their energy is contagious. They remind you that success is possible and that you're capable of more than you realize. The people around you also hold you accountable. When you're surrounded by individuals who are chasing their goals, it's harder to make excuses. They'll call you out when you're slacking and cheer you on when you're making progress. Accountability is a powerful motivator. It's not just about motivation, though it's about learning. Growth-minded people share their knowledge and experiences, and you can learn from their successes and mistakes. Their insights can save you time, help you avoid pitfalls, and give you new perspectives. Finding the right people isn't always easy. Sometimes you have to distance yourself from toxic relationships and actively seek out new connections. Join groups, attend events, or connect with people who share your values and goals. Surrounding yourself with the right crowd takes effort, but it's worth it. Don't underestimate the power of the environment. If you're in a room full of winners, you'll start to think and act like a winner. If you're in a room full of complainers, you'll find yourself complaining too. Choose your environment wisely because it shapes who you become. Surrounding yourself with growth-minded people isn't about competition, it's about collaboration. When you support each other, celebrate each other's wins, and push each other to do better, everyone grows. Together, you can achieve more than you ever could alone. One of the biggest traps we fall into is chasing perfection. We think we need to have everything figured out, do everything flawlessly, or reach our goals without stumbling. But let me tell you, perfection is a myth. Nobody gets it all right, and nobody has it all together. What matters is progress, not perfection. Progress is about taking one step forward, no matter how small. It's about doing better today than you did yesterday. You don't need to make a giant leap every day. Sometimes it's just about showing up and putting in the work. Even the smallest effort adds up over time. The problem with chasing perfection is that it paralyzes you. You start to overthink every little detail, worrying about whether it's good enough, and that fear keeps you stuck. But when you focus on progress, you free yourself to act. You permit yourself to try, to fail, and to learn from those failures. Tracking progress does just keep you motivated. It gives you clarity. When you measure where you started versus where you are now, you see how far you've come. That perspective is powerful. It reminds you that even if you're not where you want to be yet, you're on your way. Progress also builds momentum. When you see yourself improving, even in small ways, it fuels your desire to keep going. Success, no matter how small, breeds confidence. And confidence pushes you to take the next step, and then the next. It's a cycle of growth that starts with a single action. Today, it's not about being perfect. It's about becoming the best version of yourself, one step at a time. Life is going to knock you down. That's a guarantee. But what separates the winners from the quitters is how you handle those setbacks. You can let them define you, or you can use them as fuel to come back stronger. A setback isn't the end, it's a setup for a comeback. When you face failure or disappointment, it's easy to get discouraged. You might feel like all your hard work was for nothing. But every setback is an opportunity to learn. Ask yourself, what can I take from this? How can I grow from this? There's always a lesson if you're willing to look for it. Setbacks force you to rethink your approach. They make you pause and evaluate what's working and what's not. Sometimes they push you in a direction you wouldn't have chosen on your own, but that direction ends up being exactly what you need. It's not about avoiding failure, it's about bouncing back from it. Resilience is a muscle, and setbacks are your workout. Every time you pick yourself up after a fall, you're building strength. You're proving to yourself that you're tougher than any obstacle in your way. Setbacks also reveal your character. They show you what you're made of and how badly you want your goals. Anyone can stay motivated when things are easy, but it takes real grit to keep going when the road gets rough. That grit is what separates the average from the extraordinary. Every successful person you admire has faced setbacks. They didn't achieve their goals because everything went smoothly. They achieved them because they didn't quit. They used every failure as a stepping stone, every rejection as motivation, and every delay as a reason to work harder. When you change your perspective on setbacks, you take away their power to hold you back. Instead of seeing them as barriers, you see them as opportunities. Instead of giving up, you use them to push forward. Setbacks aren't the end of the story. They're just a plot twist on your way to success. One of the most underrated parts of self-improvement is celebrating the small wins. We're so focused on the big picture, the ultimate goal, that we forget to acknowledge the progress we're making right now. But those small wins matter. They're proof that you're moving in the right direction. Every time you hit a milestone, no matter how small, take a moment to celebrate. Maybe you woke up early and got to the gym. Maybe you finally finished that project you've been putting off. Maybe you just made it through a tough day without giving up. Those victories deserve recognition. Celebrating small wins doesn't mean you're settling. It means you're acknowledging the effort it takes to get where you want to go. Improvement is hard work, and every step forward is an achievement. When you celebrate those steps, you're reinforcing the habits that lead to success. Recognizing your wins keeps you motivated. It reminds you that your efforts are paying off even if the results aren't immediate. That motivation is what keeps you going on the days when progress feels slow or invisible. Celebrating small wins also trains your brain to focus on the positive. When you're constantly looking for what you've done right, you create a mindset of success. You start to see opportunities instead of obstacles, and that mindset propels you forward. It's not just about personal motivation, it's about building momentum. Every time you celebrate a win, you're building confidence. That confidence gives you the energy to tackle the next challenge and the next until you reach your bigger goals. The journey to self-improvement isn't about one big moment of success. It's about a series of small steps that add up over time. By celebrating those steps, you're not just acknowledging your progress, you're setting the stage for even greater achievements. Consistency is the secret sauce to success. It's not about how fast you go or how perfect you are. It's about showing up day after day, even when you don't feel like it. The people who win in life aren't the ones who only work when it's easy or convenient. They're the ones who stay committed no matter what. There will be days when you feel unmotivated, days when the progress feels invisible, and you question if it's even worth it. But those are the days that matter most. Showing up when it's hard is what builds character. It's what separates those who dream from those who achieve. Consistency is like compound interest. The small actions you take every day might not seem like much at the moment, but over time they add up to something incredible. Missing one day might feel insignificant, but when you let that day turn into a week or a month, you lose the momentum you worked so hard to build. The truth is, consistency isn't about being perfect, it's about being persistent. It's okay to stumble, to have setbacks, or to take a break when you need it. But what's not okay is giving up altogether. When you stay consistent, you prove to yourself that you're reliable, capable, and resilient. Staying consistent also builds trust in yourself. When you make a commitment and follow through, you start to believe in your ability to succeed. That belief becomes the foundation for everything else you do. Confidence doesn't come from grand gestures, it comes from small, consistent actions. Consistency creates habits, and habits shape your future. When you commit to improving yourself by 1% every day, you're not just making a temporary change, you're creating a lifestyle. That lifestyle becomes who you are, and it's what leads to long-term success. Even when the progress feels slow, remind yourself why you started. Remember that every small step you take is bringing you closer to your goals. Stay consistent, trust the process, and keep showing up.